Now let's define ministry. Are we learning this morning? What does it mean to be in ministry? What is ministry? For some you will say preaching. For our dear people, they may say singing. Other people can say whatever it is, but what exactly is ministry? Please look up. Let me tell you what ministry is not. Ministry is not preaching. No. Ministry has nothing to do with a pulpit. Ministry has nothing to do with a church. Ministry has nothing to do with membership. Ministry has nothing to do with a mic. Ministry has nothing to do with most of the things we call ministry. Look up, please. When the pandemic caused churches to be shut for 3 months, there were people who were utterly frustrated. Their definition of ministry frustrated them, because their idea of ministry is that there must be a pulpit in front of you, there must be a congregation listening to what you are saying, there must be a mic amplifying your voice, and there must be a structure around. Those things are not necessarily the definition of ministry. Listen to me carefully. The essence of ministry is not doing, is not standing in front of a people. No. What makes ministry ministry is not the activity. Listen carefully. Activity does not make ministry. Ministry, there are 2 conditions for anything to be called ministry. Number 1, it must be motivated by your love for Jesus Christ. Number 2, it must lead to the revelation and the enthroning of Jesus. That is it. Let me repeat myself. For anything to be called ministry, the necessary and sufficient conditions is that number 1, it must be motivated by a passion and a desire, a love for Jesus Christ. And number 2, the goal of that entire activity must be to see Jesus glorified. That means I can be a preacher, a very good preacher, and yet not be a minister. If my motivation is not my love for Jesus Christ, and if my intent and goal is to not see him lifted and glorified, I am not in ministry, even though singing. Are you seeing that by this definition, many people are not in ministry? Many people are singers or worshipers. Many people are whatever it is, but they are not ministers. So it is not the activity that qualifies it to be called ministry. It's not the religiosity of the setting. A pulpit is not what makes it ministry. A mic is not what makes it ministry. A church building is not what makes it ministry. The motivation and the goal is what makes it ministry. Now watch this. Who dropped this here? Just very quickly. Who is the... Okay, now watch this. Let me use any gentleman. Come, anyone at all, or protocol, any one of the protocol people. Come, my friend. I want you to carry this. Drop it here for me. Who among 2 of us is a minister? Who did you clap for when he came up stage? Did you clap for this man? Because he's not a minister, isn't it? Hold on. This is the one who is a minister, because there was some introduction there and he came up majestically ready to preach. You see, whether I'm a minister or he's a minister cannot be tested by what we are doing. We will have to vet the motivation. If this guy, if he's bringing this water to drop for me, is motivated by his love for Jesus and is to assist me preach well to the end that lives be blessed, in the mind of God, this is exactly the same thing as a Reinhard Bonnke crusade. Are you getting this now? So question, was Mary a minister? What was her ministry? Was Elizabeth in ministry? You mean pregnancy was her ministry? Can pregnancy be ministry? What qualifies pregnancy to be ministry? So is a businessman a minister? What qualifies his business to be ministry? Is a politician a minister? What qualifies his politics to be ministry? This man who came and sang here, is he a minister? What qualified him? Learn this. Because when God says ministers, he does not say preachers. He means all who are motivated by their love for Jesus and will engage in scriptural activities that ultimately lead to the revelation of the Christ. Can marriage be ministry? Can education be ministry? Can looking for money be ministry? Do you know why I'm teaching you this? If we don't redefine ourselves in the next 10 years, the church will be in trouble. There are people who have no business holding a mic and standing on stage here, but because they know that they are in ministry, and since the definition given to them is the only condition for you to be a minister is to have a church, have a pulpit, have a Bible, and be called apostle or prophet, many business people are holding mics and struggling and suffering because the grace for this pulpit dimension of it was not given to them, and they want to ease the guilt of not running away from the call of God. So they throw away every other thing that is ministry and come here to do religiosity, and they call it ministry. Say unto Archippus, take heed to the ministry that you have received in the Lord, that thou fulfill it. Is God speaking to us now? Probably some of you are about to make that mistake right now. You are about to throw away every precious thing. And you see, some of these problems come from we preachers, because we have sold a template about ministry that if ever you are to be called of God, this is the roadmap to follow. If you ultimately do not end up in a pulpit being a pastor of a church, you may not be in ministry. If you are talking about the fivefold, that is fine. Is someone learning already? That means if you take away this pulpit from me, am I still in ministry? If you take away preaching from me, am I still in ministry? If you take away a congregation from me, am I still in ministry? Now you know what ministry is. Are you in ministry? When you came this morning, did you come to support the ministers, or you came as a minister? Are we together? Mary's only assignment, as revealed from the Bible, is getting pregnant and giving birth to Jesus safely. And yet the Bible is very lavish about recognizing it. There was a woman who, regardless the way she messed up her life, she broke a jar of alabaster box of pure spikenard, and Jesus said, you better do not judge this woman by her activity. Look at the motivation, that everywhere I am talked about, this woman will be remembered. Hallelujah. So would you call Anna the prophetess a minister? Did she preach to anybody that you saw? Did she heal anybody that you saw? But she sat there sacrificing 60 years of her family life to pray down Jesus from heaven to earth. And the Bible was not careful to ignore her or to recognize her. The Bible was very lavish to say there was such a woman as this.